People live like they have unlimited time. Like they've been promised 100 years of comfort, 100 years of chances, 100 years to finally get serious about their lives. But that's a lie. The truth is your time is running out right now. Every second that passes is one you'll never get back. You sit there scrolling, watching other people live their lives, chasing distractions that mean nothing, and you convince yourself you'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, because the habit of wasting time becomes who you are. And one day, you'll wake up and realize you've spent your best years watching others win while you were too busy doing nothing. That's the moment most men break. But by then, it's too late. You think time is free because it doesn't have a price tag, but it's the most expensive thing you own. Every decision you make is an exchange. You trade your minutes for comfort, for laziness, for the illusion that you'll have more time later. But the clock doesn't stop. It doesn't care about your feelings, your excuses, your moods. You can't pause it, you can't refund it, and you can't replace it. When it's gone, it's gone. And if you waste it chasing meaningless pleasures, you'll pay for it with regret. That's the real debt of wasted time. The pain of knowing you could have been more, but chose not to be. People talk about money like it's everything. But money you can make back. Time, you can't. You can lose your fortune and rebuild it. You can lose everything and rise again. But you can't rebuild your lost years. That's why successful people treat their time like gold. They protect it, they invest it, they multiply it. Meanwhile, the average person gives it away for free, to entertainment, to gossip, to negativity. They waste hours every day feeding distractions that give them nothing in return. You can tell a man's future by how he spends his time right now. The man who values every second will own his life. The man who wastes it will be owned by the world. You don't even realize how many traps are designed to steal your time. Every app, every piece of content, every distraction is built to keep you stuck, addicted, comfortable, controlled. Because the longer you stay entertained, the less you grow. The weaker you become, the easier you are to manipulate. The system doesn't want you focused. It wants you distracted, reactive, and docile. It wants you working just enough to survive, but too tired to build something of your own. And the moment you realize that, the moment you start protecting your time like your life depends on it, you become dangerous because you start breaking free from the illusion. When you understand how precious your time is, you start thinking differently. You stop chasing validation. You stop doing things that don't align with your goals. You stop giving attention to people who don't deserve it. You start waking up earlier. You start moving with purpose. You start measuring your day not by how much fun you had, but by how much progress you made. That's the shift that separates men who lead from men who follow. Everyone wants success, but few respect time enough to earn it. Most people will die full of potential because they never learned how to use their time. They'll spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, when they feel ready, when circumstances align, when things get easier. But that moment never comes, because life never gets easier. You just get stronger, smarter, and more disciplined. The man who takes action now, no matter how imperfectly, will always beat the man waiting for the right time. You can waste years preparing, or you can start today and figure it out as you go. Time rewards those who move. It punishes those who wait. Every day you wake up, you're one day closer to the end. That's not depressing. It's empowering. It means you still have time to change, but not a second to waste. Every hour you spend grinding, learning, building, it's a deposit into your freedom account. Every hour you waste on nothing, it's a withdrawal from your future. The choice is yours. You either master your time or you become a slave to it. You either take control of your hours or someone else will control them for you. Because time is not infinite. It's slipping away right now while you decide whether to take action or not. Every hour you waste is a decision. Every time you choose comfort over progress, every time you scroll instead of build, every time you say later instead of now, you are making a transaction, and the cost is your future. The real price of wasting time isn't visible today. It's silent. It doesn't scream at you. It doesn't show up as pain right away, but it builds quietly, relentlessly, one missed opportunity after another, one wasted morning, one unproductive week, and suddenly a year is gone. The people who started at the same level as you are now miles ahead, not because they were smarter, but because they refuse to waste their time. That's how mediocrity forms, not in a single bad decision, but in thousands of small moments of weakness stacked on top of each other. The biggest lie people tell themselves is that they have time to waste, that they can chill now and grind later. But later is the most dangerous word in the English language. Later kills dreams. Later destroys potential. Later is the reason millions of men live average lives, hating their jobs, their routines, their results, because they kept convincing themselves that one day they'd change. But the future doesn't belong to the man who waits. It belongs to the man who acts. Every second you waste builds the habit of doing nothing, and habits become identity. If you waste time long enough, you become the kind of man who can't stop wasting it. That's how you trap yourself in mediocrity. Think about it, wasted time compounds like debt. Every hour you spend doing nothing is like taking a loan from your future. Except this loan doesn't have a repayment plan. You can't buy those hours back. You can't trade your regret for extra years. You can't negotiate with the clock. The man who spends his time wisely becomes wealthy beyond imagination, not just in money, but in freedom, clarity, and peace. The man who wastes it becomes broke, not just financially, but spiritually. Because when you realize you've thrown away years chasing distractions, that's a pain you can't escape. It's not just disappointment, it's self-betrayal. You see, the world doesn't care about your potential. It only cares about your results. And results come from how you use your time. You can have talent, you can have ideas, but if you don't execute, none of it matters. Every moment you waste is a moment someone else is using to get ahead. While you're sleeping in, someone's training. While you're procrastinating, someone's building. While you're wasting energy on meaningless comfort, someone's stacking the discipline that will make him unstoppable. And one day, when you finally wake up and decide to take it seriously, you'll find that you're years behind. Not because life was unfair, but because you treated time like it was worthless. This is the difference between the average man and the exceptional one. The average man lies reactively, responding to distractions, emotions, impulses. The exceptional man lives strategically. He knows every hour has value, and he protects it. He says no more than he says yes. He doesn't waste energy on gossip, negativity, or endless entertainment. He understands that the real cost of wasting time isn't boredom, it's opportunity. Every time you waste an hour, you're not just losing that hour, you're losing what that hour could have produced. That's the real robbery happening right in front of you. And you're the one pulling the trigger. The truth is brutal. Wasting time kills your dreams long before failure ever will. You'll never fail if you don't try, but you'll never win either. And the longer you delay action, the harder it becomes to start. Because every time you choose comfort, your mind becomes softer. You become addicted to ease, allergic to effort. You start convincing yourself that things aren't that bad, that maybe mediocrity isn't so terrible. But deep down, you know it's a lie. You feel that guilt in your chest every time you waste a day. That's your potential screaming at you to wake up. That's the voice of the man you could have been. You must understand that wasted time is the enemy. It's the silent killer that destroys men from the inside out. It steals your purpose, your confidence, your power. It leaves you weak, resentful, and full of regret. But here's the truth: time doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are, how rich you are, or how talented you are. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. The question is, what will you do with yours? Because while you sit there wasting another hour, another man is out there using his to build the life you'll envy. And when that happens, you'll realize something painful but true. The real cost of wasting time isn't just lost hours, it's lost identity. Before you can ever own your life, before you can build wealth or power or freedom, you have to own yourself. And that starts with responsibility. Responsibility is the dividing line between men who make things happen and men who wait for things to happen. You can't build anything lasting if your first instinct is to blame something else when life gets hard. That's what weak people do. They point fingers. They blame their parents, their boss, the economy, their luck. They tell themselves that success is a lottery and that other people just got lucky. But that's not the truth. The truth is they've never taken full ownership of their choices, their time, their discipline, or their mindset. And until you do that, you'll never have control of your life. The second you start taking responsibility, everything changes. Because when you admit that you are the reason for where you are, you also become the reason for where you're going. That's power. You stop waiting for the world to save you. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for opportunities to fall in your lap. You start creating them. You start building structure. You start making decisions like a man who knows that no one's coming to rescue him. Responsibility is freedom, because it gives you the ability to change your circumstances at will. It's not easy, but that's exactly why it's rare. Most people hate responsibility because it exposes them. It takes away their excuses. If your life is bad, it's your fault. If you're broke, it's your fault. If you're out of shape, it's your fault. That's a hard truth to accept, but it's the only one that sets you free. The moment you stop seeing yourself as a victim is the moment you start becoming unstoppable. Because victims can't change their situation. They're trapped in blame. But leaders, real men, take ownership even when it hurts. They look at their failures and ask, what did I do wrong? How do I fix it? They don't complain about the storm. They learn how to sail through it. That's the mindset that builds power. Responsibility also kills entitlement. You stop thinking the world owes you something. No one owes you respect. No one owes you success. No one owes you happiness. Those things are earned, not handed out. When you understand that, your entire energy shifts. You start doing the work without expecting applause. You stop craving validation because you know that results speak louder than sympathy. Responsibility teaches you to move in silence, to put in the effort whether anyone's watching or not. Because the only person you need to prove something to is yourself. The truth is, accountability hurts at first. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to face your weaknesses, your bad habits, your lack of effort. But once you embrace it, it becomes your greatest weapon. Because when you're responsible, no one can control you. The system can't manipulate you. People can't guilt trip you. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. You stop living by chance and start living by design. And when you live like that, everything in your life begins to align: your body, your money, your relationships, your mission. Because you've taken back control of the only thing that truly matters: your decisions. Every man who has ever built greatness started from this mindset. They didn't wait for the perfect time. They didn't wait for someone to tell them what to do. They took responsibility for their outcomes. They looked at their circumstances and said, if I don't fix this, no one will. That's when things started moving. That's when momentum began. Responsibility gives you clarity. It removes the noise and forces you to focus on solutions, not problems. Weak men talk about what's wrong. Strong men talk about what they're doing to make it right. When you truly own your life, your actions begin to reflect it. You wake up earlier. You work harder. You stop chasing pleasure and start chasing purpose. You stop wasting time on people who drain you. You stop blaming the past and start building the future. Because responsibility doesn't just change your results. It changes your identity. You transform from a follower into a leader, from a complainer into a conqueror. You begin to realize that freedom doesn't come from money. It comes from mastery. And mastery starts with taking control of the man in the mirror. You can't build assets. You can't buy freedom. You can't lead others until you can lead yourself. And you can't lead yourself if you keep running from responsibility. The truth is, ownership is painful before it becomes powerful. But once you've accepted that everything in your life is your fault, the failures, the setbacks, the lost time, you've also accepted that everything can change because of you. That's the beginning of power. That's the moment a man goes from being a passenger in his own life to being the driver. And that's the moment you stop waiting for success and start creating it. Money doesn't make you free, assets do. Most people spend their entire lives working for money, chasing paychecks, and calling that success. But that's not freedom. That's modern slavery disguised as stability. You wake up, work 8 to 10 hours, get paid just enough to survive, then start the same cycle again next month. That's not living, that's existing. You're selling your time, the most valuable resource you'll ever have, for a fixed price that someone else decided you're worth. And the scariest part, most people accept that. They accept being controlled because they've been taught that safety is better than freedom. But safety is an illusion. The only real safety in life is ownership. Owning your time, your income, your decisions. That's what building assets does. It buys back the hours you've been selling your entire life. An asset is something that works for you even when you're asleep. It's something that doesn't need your presence to produce results. But here's what separates winners from the rest. Most people only think about money as something to spend, not something to build. They make money, then waste it trying to impress others who don't even care. They buy liabilities, cars, clothes, parties, status. Things that lose value the second they're bought. And then they complain about being broke. The truth is, if your money isn't working for you, you're not progressing. You're just maintaining. And maintenance is another form of slow death. The goal isn't to work forever. It's to build something that keeps working long after you stop. Real freedom comes when your time is no longer tied to your income. That's when you own your life. Andrew Tate always says, if you're still trading hours for money, you're not free, because true power is when your assets are earning for you, multiplying for you, moving while you rest. A man who builds assets isn't just getting richer. He's buying time, he's buying control, he's buying independence. Every dollar you waste today could have been the soldier that worked for you tomorrow. Every unnecessary expense is time stolen from your future. You have to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an owner. The average man buys comfort. The wise man builds leverage. The average man spends his life running on a treadmill. The wise man builds the treadmill and rents it to others. That's the mindset shift that separates the free from the trapped. And it's not just about money, it's about mindset. Because once you start seeing money as a tool, not a trophy, everything changes. You stop caring about short-term pleasure. You stop competing with people who are spending while you're building. You start thinking years ahead. You start stacking bricks instead of chasing dopamine. And building assets isn't only about business, it's about building yourself. You are your first asset. Your skills, your discipline, your network, those are the foundations of wealth. You can lose your business, your investments, your job, but if you've built yourself into a capable, disciplined, resourceful man, you can rebuild everything from scratch. That's why the first investment you ever make should be in your own development, because your mind, your habits, and your resilience are assets that no market crash, no economy, no circumstance can take away. Once you understand how the world really works, you realize the system is built to keep you working, not winning. The rich don't trade time for money. They trade money for time. They use leverage. They use systems. They use automation. They use investments to make their money work harder than they ever could. While you're grinding for hours, they're earning while sleeping. The difference isn't luck. It's strategy. They understand that every asset they build buys them a little more freedom, a little more control, a little more time to live life on their own terms. You need to start building things that generate income whether you're awake or not. Businesses that scale, skills that pay, investments that grow, relationships that open doors. Every asset you build adds another layer of freedom to your life. And every liability you chase adds another chain to your ankle. You can't have both. You either spend your life chasing temporary pleasure or building permanent independence. The reality is, freedom is expensive. It costs time, effort, and patience to build. But the price of slavery is higher. It costs your entire life. The man who refuses to build assets is the man who will work until he dies, answering to someone else's schedule, someone else's expectations, someone else's control. The man who builds assets, on the other hand, breaks the system. He becomes untouchable. Because when you own your assets, you own your time. And when you own your time, no one can ever tell you what you're worth again. The biggest trap most people fall into isn't poverty, it's comfort. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. It makes you believe you're doing fine when deep down, you know you're wasting time. You convince yourself that tomorrow you'll start that business, tomorrow you'll hit the gym, tomorrow you'll learn that skill. But tomorrow never comes. You keep saying you'll do it later, and later becomes never. You have to wake up and realize that comfort is not your friend. It's your enemy. It doesn't care about your dreams. It just wants to keep you numb, satisfied with mediocrity, addicted to distraction, and afraid of change. The system wants you like that, obedient, tired, entertained, and too busy scrolling to fight for your own future. You say you want freedom, but your actions say otherwise. Freedom doesn't come from talking, it comes from execution. You can't feel your way into success, you must fight for it. And the first step to owning your life is reclaiming your time. Your time is being stolen every single day by pointless entertainment, by useless habits, by people who drain your energy. You think an hour on social media is harmless. That's an hour you'll never get back. That's an hour you could have spent building something that pays you forever. But the truth is, most people don't value their time because they've never been taught to. They treat it like it's infinite, but it's not. Every second that passes is gone forever. And the difference between winners and losers is that winners treat every second like a currency. They spend it wisely. When you start valuing time like money, your entire life changes. You stop tolerating nonsense. You stop wasting days doing nothing. You stop letting people distract you from your purpose. Because the reality is, the man who controls his time controls his destiny. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. That's why you need to be ruthless with how you spend it. Every hour should be an investment into your freedom, not an expense of your potential. You can't afford to kill time. Time is killing you. The clock is ticking, and the world doesn't wait for anyone. You need to start moving with urgency, not panic, but purpose. Every morning you wake up should feel like another chance to win, not another day to waste. You should look at your calendar and ask, what am I building today that moves me closer to freedom? If the answer is nothing, then you're standing still while someone else is moving forward. And guess what? Life doesn't reward those who stand still. It rewards the ones who take control, who take action, who treat their time like the rare, valuable resource it is. This is why building assets matters. It's not just about money, it's about time ownership. Because when your assets work for you, they buy you back the hours you've been selling to someone else. You stop living paycheck to paycheck and start living on your own terms. You stop being forced to wake up for someone else's dream and start waking up for your own. That's what freedom feels like. But you can't buy that freedom with laziness. You can't buy it with excuses, and you can't buy it with wasted hours. You buy it through consistent action, through discipline, through saying no to distractions and yes to your goals. And the truth is, every man gets two lives. The second starts when he realizes he only has one. When you truly understand that your time is limited, everything changes. You stop living like you have forever. You stop wasting time proving yourself to others and start building for yourself. You stop chasing approval and start chasing results. You stop asking for permission to be great and start earning it. Every minute becomes precious, every hour becomes sacred, every day becomes a mission. Because you understand that one day, this will all end. And the only question will be, Zai, what did you build with the time you were given? Look around you. Most people aren't living, they're just existing. They wake up tired, work jobs they hate, and spend their free time escaping reality. That's not life, that's survival. You weren't born to just pay bills and die. You were born to dominate your reality, to control your time, to live with purpose. But that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. You have to design your days around progress. You have to protect your time like it's gold, because it is. Every time you say yes to something meaningless, you're saying no to something powerful. Every time you waste an hour, you're giving away a piece of your potential. You have to become obsessed with execution. Obsession is the bridge between intention and success. Everyone wants freedom, but only a few are willing to make the sacrifices it demands. Freedom isn't built in a day. It's built in every decision you make to reject comfort and chase growth. So ask yourself right now, how much longer will you let time slip away before you take control of it? Because the man who learns to master his time masters everything. You have to understand something very clearly. Freedom isn't given. It's built. Nobody's coming to hand it to you. No one's coming to save you. And no one's going to knock on your door one morning and say, congratulations, you're free now. That's not how the world works. You have to earn it. You have to fight for it. You have to build it piece by piece with your own discipline, your own decisions, and your own persistence. The modern world is designed to keep you weak, distracted, and obedient. It doesn't want you to think. It doesn't want you to question. It wants you to consume, to stay busy, to stay broke. Because a weak man is easy to control, but a disciplined man, a focused man, a man who builds is dangerous. And that's exactly what you need to become. When Andrew Tate talks about owning your life, he's not talking about just making money. He's talking about owning every part of your existence. Your mind, your emotions, your habits, your circle, your energy. You can't claim to own your life if your emotions control you. You can't claim to own your life if you need validation from others. You can't claim to own your life if your habits are destroying you. Freedom starts with internal control before it ever shows up externally. The man who can master his own mind is already freer than 99% of people walking around pretending to be happy, because most people are slaves to impulse. They can't control their thoughts, their actions, or their addictions. They think they're free because they can do whatever they want. But in reality, what they want is controlled by the system that feeds them distractions. You have to build mental armor. You have to become untouchable from the inside out. That means when life throws pain at you, you don't break, you adapt. When people doubt you, you don't shrink, you use it as fuel. When failure comes, you don't quit. You learn, you grow, you strike again. That's ownership. That's real strength. Because owning your life doesn't mean things get easier. It means you become stronger than your problems. It means you don't rely on anyone else to fix your situation. You become the kind of man who says, if it's gonna be, it's up to me. You stop waiting for opportunity and start creating it. You stop hoping for luck and start building systems. You stop living like life happens to you and start living like you control the outcome. And that's where most men fail. They don't want to take full responsibility because responsibility is heavy. It means you can't blame anyone else anymore. It means every mistake, every setback, every wasted day is on you. But here's the truth. Only the man who takes full responsibility can have full control. The second you stop blaming others, your power returns to you. Every excuse you make is a chain around your neck. Every "it's not my fault" is another weight keeping you down. But the moment you say, I own this, everything changes. You shift from being a victim of circumstances to being the architect of your future. Building freedom isn't glamorous. It's not about flashy cars or big houses. It's about control. Control over how you spend your time, who you spend it with, what you work on, and how you feel every day. You might not be able to buy that right now, but you can build it. Every skill you learn, every habit you sharpen, every hour you discipline yourself, that's another brick in the foundation of your freedom. People will mock you for being obsessed, for being focused, for being different. Let them. They'll laugh now, but they'll be the same ones asking you for advice later. Because when the world starts to collapse, the man who built himself stands tall. Most people want freedom, but they also want comfort. They want both, but you can't have both. Comfort is what you trade for control. Every great man in history, every self-made success, every powerful individual built their life on discomfort. They took the harder path. They worked when others slept. They sacrificed when others indulged. They faced the pain others avoided. And that pain gave them power. Every time you choose discipline over laziness, you get stronger. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you become freer. Every time you choose action over excuses, you level up. That's how you build a life that nobody can take from you. The ultimate goal isn't just to make money, it's to reach a point where your life operates on your terms, where no boss, no system, no external force can dictate how you live. That's real wealth. That's real ownership. But it requires the courage to do what others won't. It means saying no when everyone else says yes. It means putting in the work long after the motivation fades. It means delaying gratification when others chase quick pleasure. That's the price of freedom, and most men aren't willing to pay it. But if you commit to owning every second, every choice, every opportunity, then no one can stop you. You'll move through life with power, purpose, and peace, because you built it with your own hands. Every moment you waste is a moment you'll never get back. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall that separates you from freedom. The truth is, life isn't waiting for you. It's moving, and it rewards the ones who move with it. The difference between men who succeed and men who stay trapped isn't talent, it isn't luck, it's ownership. The man who decides that everything in his life, his failures, his wins, his time is his responsibility. That's the man who becomes unstoppable. Andrew Tate's message is simple but powerful. Stop being passive. Stop letting the world tell you who you are. Stop trading your time for comfort and start building something that lasts. Your job, your distractions, your comfort zone, they're all designed to keep you quiet. But once you see through the illusion, once you realize that real power comes from discipline, everything changes. You start waking up with purpose. You start moving like every second counts. You start acting like the man who deserves freedom, not just dreams about it. Freedom isn't found, it's created. It's built in the early mornings when no one's watching, in the late nights when others are sleeping, in the decisions you make when no one's there to applaud you. The world will try to break you, distract you, and make you forget who you are. But if you refuse to bow, if you refuse to give up your time, your focus, your energy, you become untouchable. Because at the end of the day, no one remembers the man who followed the rules. They remember the man who wrote his own. You have one life, one chance, one opportunity to take control, to own your time, to build your assets, to become the kind of man who never needs permission to live how he wants. The clock is ticking. Your future self is watching. So make the choice now. Stop wasting time, stop chasing comfort, and start building the freedom you were meant to have.